And as I start with the next session, we are going to be discussing silver investment demand, and we are going to be exploring deepening markets. The moderator for this session is a gentleman, a very notable figure in the financial industry, presently serving as a director at FinMet Pte Limited. He has established himself as a seasoned expert in various aspects of finance, demonstrating proficiency in areas such as trading, risk management, and strategic planning. At FinMet, he plays a pivotal role in shaping the company's strategies and operations and driving it towards new heights, success, and profitability. And his leadership is marked by a commitment to integrity, vision, and a steadfast dedication to achieving positive outcomes for clients and stakeholders. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a round of applause. Already on stage, the session chair, Mr. Sunil Kashyap, the director, FinMet. I would now like to invite our other panelists on the stage, inviting them as per the order here. Please kindly sit according to the seating image displayed on the screen. Mr. Chirag Thakkar sir, the director, Amrapali Industries, inviting Chirag sir on the stage. Joining us, Mr. Viraj Didwania, founder and managing director for Foresight Bullion India Private Limited. Welcome back to India Silver Convention, Mr. Didwania. Good to see you. And finally, Mr. Vikram Dhawan, the fund manager for commodities for Nippon Life India Asset Management. Mr. Dhawan is joining us online. Ladies and gentlemen, I leave this session in the hands of Mr. Sunil Kashyap. Have a good one.
So maybe we'll start. We start with a survey question. I would encourage more people to respond to the leading question, just so that all of us know which way the audience is inclined. The question is your business benefited more if silver prices go up or go down, or really they're not impacted by silver prices? I think we have one respondent so far, so that's why it's 100% saying go down. But I would encourage more people to give their inputs, and we can 50-50 now, so it's okay. Yeah. So while we wait for more of these responses, I'll start off maybe in terms of just for the introduction to the audience about each of the notable speakers. We're really honored because I think the three fellow participants that I have here on the panelists are really known for their innovation in the silver market, and have done in their various fields something really special. So I'm looking forward to understanding more about what they've done and where they see the silver market going in the future. Let me start with Vikram because he's online, so he gets preference. Vikram, maybe just give us a little bit of an introduction about the overview of the products that your company offers, what's happening in your particular segment, and some kind of background about what you do.
Sure. Thank you very much for a very kind introduction, Sunil bhai. The silver ETF in India were permitted roughly about 2 years back, and it's currently, the total AUM is about 6,000-7,000 crores, and of the industry, which perhaps is a very good start, considering, obviously you were at Nova Scotia when we started these gold ETF, and it took its own time to. Silver, fortunately, has had a better start than what gold did, when we started in 2007. I think this perhaps is also a function of how the entire industry collaborated. I mean, today we have, I'm sure we have a house full of traders and people from the physical market, the market makers. I mean, despite not having a formalized spot market, we have seen very good liquidity in silver ETFs. And not only liquidity, the spreads have also, what we get from our authorized participants, and we are very thankful for that, are very, very sharp. And mind you, it was a new product. So, everybody went up the learning curve quite steeply. And also hats off to the investors. I mean, quite frankly speaking, they have the knack. I mean, you can't teach anything much to Indians when it comes to gold and silver, and we have seen in that kind of flows. I mean, they tend to increase at corrections and tend to ebb at rallies. So it's been a very good experience. It's been a very good humbling and a learning experience for us. In terms of the product which currently are permitted by SEBI, we have the silver ETF, which is an exchange traded product. It is regulated by SEBI, and we also have what we call as a silver saving or a silver fund of fund, which offers you some sort of a facility to do a SIP into silver. Also, these silver savings funds, actually, you don't need a demat account. So people who don't want to keep a demat account because they don't do active trading, they usually don't want to keep a demat account. So it's for them. And for their, in case of an ETF, you have to go to the exchange through your broker to buy and sell the units. In case of the savings fund, it's a mutual fund. You can get the subscription and redemption directly with the, the mutual fund, the AMC. Last but not the least, what really has worked is, the fairly standardization, because silver is not as standardized as gold comparatively, obviously. But I think despite, so many things, slightly different than gold, because we were trying to extrapolate the learnings from gold, the industry and the entire ecosystem has done a fantastic job to, I would say that the success and the launch of this product is rightly owed to the people sitting in this room from the physical industry, and we are very thankful for them.
Thank you, Vikram. Just to clarify, what's the holding? You said 6,000 crores, but what's the physical holding that you have in the ETF?
Physical holding, oh my, I think Chirag, how much would be 6,000? I think it should be what, close to about 900 tons
900
in
tons.
current prices.
That's incredible. And that's happened over 1.5 years, right? It was a launch plus.
Yes, and 1.5 years, and obviously when you launch a fund, it takes time to pick up. So I would say it's actually a 1 year phenomenon.
Wow, congratulations. So over to you, Chirag.
And Sunil, one thing I'd like to add is something that sorry to
Sure.
speak off the cue, but one thing I would like to add that despite a new start, the silver ETF that we run is amongst the top 10 as far as the global AUM is concerned. So it's been a very heartening and a humbling experience for us.
Wow, top 10. Incredible. Great. And I'll come back to you later for asking more questions about that. Chirag, give us an overview. But
Very good morning, everyone. So, just coming back to the first questions what you asked, that how we have innovated to participate in a larger amount into the market. So, we started our bullion journey in 1997 when RBI opened the Consignment Gold Act and the consignment business was started. And since then, we have started penetrating into the market, but a major milestone came in 2008 when we started going out of our hometown, and within 3 years we were at pan-India level where we can distribute the gold and silver, both the metals, into the market. And if you see, the traditional way of buying gold and silver is a physical method, and since last 6 to 7 years we are seeing lots of market emerging, more of the equity market where we have a lots of more transparency. At the same time, when this all came in, we wanted to target millennials who we want them to invest in the precious metals. So we came up with the idea of introducing a digital platform where a small layman with giving a small KYC can buy gold and silver with a small amount. And today that platform is doing very wonderful because there's a 24 hours access to the market. It's just on your handset, on your smartphone, just click of a button and it's just bought into the market. At the same time, facilities like gifting it to a friend, taking a physical delivery, gifting a physical delivery to a friend makes it more easier. At the same time, if you would want the metal to sell, it's easier, just put it in an app and you can just sell the metal and the money goes to your account. So these are the transformations we have done, and we are still trying to do better where we have a better user experience on the platform. Because at the same time, if you see down the line, 5 years, 7 years, 10 years down the line, we see everything going so very technological that if we don't be in that pace, then it will be a survival question for us to be in that market. So this has been a journey so far, and looking ahead, we think AI could be the part of it, the platform wherein user database, their appearances on the platform, that data, that technology would give a lot of output that where the market is going.
So let me ask you, do you participate in the ETF? I mean, are you a market participant for creating for the ETF also?
So we are one of the leading share market broker as well into the country since '95. But answering your question, we have been AP to the ETFs, but my clients around the country, if they would ask me, I would ask them to be on the platform because it is my product, that's why.
That's okay, you're a trader, you have to be in all markets, I understand. Viraj, maybe you'd like to give us a view about your business, what segment of the business you operate in, and how has business been going?
Thank you, Sunilji, and thank you also to Eventel for organizing this. You know, silver, I think many people have said it today, gets treatment like a stepchild, but here silver is the star, and I love that. So we're a silver specialist. We're only in the silver business. I think Rahul is smiling because he's also in the same boat. I started this company about 10 years ago. I'm a banker by training. And this is a very interesting business because we get paid in advance, which is a huge thing in India. When I speak to my friends and my cousins, one of their biggest problems is bad debt and collection of their own money, right? Here we get paid in advance, it's fantastic. We don't really need to deal with the government much, which is also a plus. Plus because it's not my strength. It's a business which, you know, Chirag can attest to it. As long as you're disciplined, you make money every year. Maybe not every month, but every year for sure. Chirag, correct? So it's a lovely business.
Except the margins. So if you look at your friends, they make 10%, 15%. Tell me about your margins.
Chirag and I will never reveal our margins. But yeah, we make small margins. But also look, because there's no credit risk, we hedge our commodity positions, we hedge our currency positions. Whatever money comes in as profit stays as profit. We're not concerned that some bad debt is going to happen or some position is going to go against us. When I sleep at night, and I'm sure Chirag is also very disciplined, when we sleep at night, we sleep very well. Yeah. So it's a disciplined business. We sell silver in 9 states across 30 cities across the country. Like I said, we hedge our commodity positions, currency positions, get paid in advance. And a lot of our innovation has been by pounding the pavement. So me, myself, and my team, we actually go out shop to shop, door to door, meet our customers, and see what has changed for them, what has changed in their world, and that then guides us on what we need to change in our world so that we can serve them better. And this is an interesting thing because very often what we assume is important to our customer, when you go there and you see the ecosystem, it's not. And what we assume is not important to them is actually very important to them. And I think that's been one of our strengths, the innovation in understanding what the customer wants, prioritizing that and ensuring that that's available for the customer.
Maybe I'll ask you a follow-up. Give us an example of things that surprised you when you went out to the market and you found out and you were surprised that this is important to them. Just give one example.
I'll give you a simple, like I'm a banker by training, right? I was an M&A banker in New York for like 3 years. So I'm very focused, disciplined, risk averse, all of that, risk adjusted profit, all of that. And also I'm a stickler for discipline, like deliver on time, give the invoice on time. For the first 3 years, I took that as my most important thing. But repeatedly customers said, 50 rupees sasta to na hai, bill kal bhej dena. डिलीवरी लेट होगा, रात को हम 11 बजे बैठे. So then I took it off my KRA, I gave it to someone else on my team. And it pains me to say this, Chirag will attest this. It pains me to say this, but I removed something which was so important to me, that we should be the best in class in terms of on-time delivery, in terms of giving the invoice on time, TDS, repayment, everything. But customers were not valuing that. So I said, fine, then it's not my KRA. What customers did value, which I was surprised, was they said, you are the expert on silver. You tell us when we should buy, when we should sell, how we should hedge, how we manage our physical inventory, which, sure, I understand that well, and I'm happy to guide them, but that's not a science, that's an art. And it's very strange, but so many of my customers, now where I used to deal with the father, now I'm dealing with the son, very often value me for this, or value Foresight Bullion India Private Limited for this. Advice and guidance on when they should do what.
Interesting.
Chirag?
Maybe I'll come to Vikram about the same thing. But I just to give you the results of the first survey that happened, we asked the question, will your business be benefited by the silver price going up or going down? And the interesting response was it was 50-50 basically. We got about 10 or 15 responses, but it's 50-50. I think half the audience would like the price to go up and half the audience would like the price to come down. Vikram, maybe just carrying on the theme about surprises. Your organization is the first one that really launched a major silver ETF in India. Is there some insight that you found, something that surprised you after the launch about the consumer behavior or about the market, the way the market responded?
Sunil, one thing is very apparent. I think everybody is saying on the stage that silver does gets a step motherly treatment, and I think whilst we have been very lucky to get the cooperation of the industry, but I think there's a lot which needs to be done. A lot of collaboration needs to be done within the industry, various players. Otherwise, we'll always be sidelined. We'll always be the poorer cousin or brother of gold. That is one thing which really, needs to be addressed. In terms of surprises, I think what we also need to understand is that, we didn't realize, and it was something that we saw in the hindsight, that, in times of COVID, there was a huge demand for gold ETF. And whilst, the Western countries were driving the inflows, but when COVID went away, what really happened was that a lot of metal came out of the ETFs. So what we realized that ETFs, in a way, tend to provide a sort of a secondary liquidity in the market, and also they tend to provide some sort of a de facto spot or the price recognition where the market is, because you have to give it to the investors. They're very canny, and you have the smartest people sitting on your left, who are the market makers. So they would only come and buy or sell silver from us if there is some margin involved in that. So that is something that we realized, that it has got, besides making money for the investor, it has got another role also to provide. And when you put in a metal, any commodity metal, any commodity or a metal in ETF, it is not going under the mattress. It's there out there, and it can be used for various purposes. And I think what the industry should ask for is that it should be used as a collateral for loan, etc. And that will be the game changer for the industry. The other thing which we also realized was that not only the mutual fund investors who were investing in us, the arbitragers, even the industry, the green tech industry, were also frequenting our ETF, because it was a lot easier for them to buy the ETF and wait for the physical deliveries from overseas or from Hindustan Zinc, vis-a-vis buying overseas or whatever, buying physical and keeping and paying the well, there is an interest component involved, but there is no storage and all that's been taken care by the ETF. So I think all these things sort of we realized, and we saw the success, and we had to find the ways, the reasons for that, and these are the reasons which came across in a very surprising way. We never expected the market to be so much glued to this product so soon.
Interesting. So basically what you're saying is, rather than just a pure investment product, it's actually related to the industry, where it can act as a buffer stock right? Either people put their surplus there, or if there's deficit, people take it out of the ETF, which is a very interesting attribute. I think probably more so in India than anywhere else. Chirag, over to you. Give us one of the good stories about your experience.
Hello. Yeah. So I'll just put one. When I personally entered into the market in 2007, 2008, into the company, so I started with reading reports, all the news comings on in the Reuters, and whenever there is a big moment in gold and silver happening, so I used to follow the global ETF markets, wherein they could give a clue whether the market is looking at what price direction. So let's say if there is a lot of redemption happening, so market is like just making a profit booking there, and market may go down, right? So this is what I've been following for gold and silver both. But when it comes to the Indian market, I think we have a long way to go where ETF holdings, either dropping, either increasing, could give a sense what Indian buyers are looking at, right? So when you look at the global and the Indian, I think we have a long way to go wherein we get that sense that, okay, this is what people are looking at, whether they are subscribing to the funds, whether it be gold or silver, or whether they are redeeming the funds.
Yeah, no doubt. I think the silver markets in India are quite evolved, and actually the silver investors are very evolved. And I think in my experience, I just mentioned that, in my experience, I've often seen the behavior of the Indian silver investors precedes global movement. That's something that's very notable.
I'd like to add on that. See, last year when we made a record imports and we went to LBMA conference, everyone was just talking about one thing: what India is doing with the silver, right? So, in Europe, Europe's LBMA last year, it was a buzz, and I'm sure that buzz is gonna keep going. And if you look at the 2 decades of history of Indian silver market, in 2007-8, we were net importers of what, 600-700 tons. Post 2012, 2013, till today, we are at an average of 5,000, 5,500, 6,000 tons. And I'm sure this is going to grow with the all industrial innovations coming in, industrial demand coming in. At the same time, what we witnessed in 2011, silver going to $50 coming back. At that time, I believe the real gist of silver was not yet out, but now we don't see, even after increasing such a huge prices at an all-time high, we don't see scrap coming into the market, right? This suggests something, whether the holding capacity of Indian consumers is increasing, at the same time purchasing capacity is increasing, at the same time no one is even ready to offload at a discounted price into the market. So this all factors are suggesting there's a brighter future for silver markets in the coming decade.
Excellent. Viraj, did you want to add something?
So I agree with a lot of what Chirag said. When I looked at the last 10 years data, what's interesting is that when the price of silver is at an absolute low, Indian consumers do record buying, right, Chirag? When the price of silver is going up or is high, Indian consumers only buy what they have to buy. Yeah. See, we sell to retailers also. So right now, footfalls are down by 40 to 50%. Bill size is the same. That means the grammage is less, right? Also, what Chirag said, that silver is at all-time high in India. We sold dozens of tons of silver at 35,000. Now it is 80 plus thousand. Those people should be coming and taking profit, but it's not happening. So I trust the Indian consumer of silver or investor of silver much more than any global report. I can tell you for sure they know something that maybe Chirag and I also don't know.
Yeah. No, so I'll give you an example of that. So like Chirag mentioned, 2022 India imported 10,000 tons,
yep.
right? And at the LBMA, everybody was very excited. And soon after the LBMA, the silver price went to $23, $24. And suddenly the Indian investor said, okay, I've had enough.
Yeah.
I don't want to take any more. 2023, the imports were 1,000 tons. Suddenly, instead of metal coming into the country, there was metal that was stored here was going back. So I think, and then sure enough, the international markets had to adjust downwards towards the price. So really, the Indian investor is very sensitive. I'll just go to Vikram. Vikram, in terms of your business, you mentioned a little bit, maybe you elaborate a little bit in terms of the ETF. In terms of growth for silver investment through the ETF route, what kind of constraints do you see for growth? What do you think will make a difference in your business, either in terms of some change in the market or in change of regulatory framework?
Sure. So I think, when you start any sort of asset class or any fund scheme type, what we look more on the number of folios. This means number of investors who have invested. So even though, the AUMs will be still modest compared to the global AUMs, but if you look at it in terms of the number of folios which we have got, the industry has got, it is close to 1 million. So you already have close to 1 million people investing into silver ETFs, which perhaps means that it is a wide spectrum of, India. It's not just HNIs or ultra HNIs or the, the family offices or the institutions. So there is a price signals or demand signals that we tend to get when we see, so many people involved. And the other thing is, mutual funds by design are there to protect the person who's investing millions and millions of rupees, and most importantly, protect the person who's investing 500 rupees also. So as per the mandate of the regulator, they are more concerned about the person putting 500 rupees than 500 crores. So that is how the design of these products are: the safety, security, liquidity, and all. And also, not many people may be aware, but if we have a tracking error, which means if the NAV of the silver moves more than 2%, 1.5%, 2% from the silver prices, then we have to give a direct redemption and creation to all the investors. So there are very strict rules over here, and we work in a very, very tight ship under a lot of tight supervisions. But I think the flip side is that we don't have to create a trust. We are actually riding on the trust which SEBI and the mutual fund industry has created, which has been a big tailwind for us. In terms of growth, I think it's quite unfortunate. I would like to say that when it comes to bullion, we are the market, one of the largest, compared if you leave China and the US aside, in silver. But I think we need more products in investment. We need more products which can cater to the demand of the investors, provide solutions to the industry. And because commodities are the last frontier for financialization. I mean, everything else, bond and equities and Bitcoin, everything has been financialized. So this is just the last frontier. And I think Indians, one of the reasons why we are an economic powerhouse is because we tend to we are early adopter of all technology and trends. But I think here we are lagging a bit, and I think we need to move up the chain here from the industry regulation and from the policy point of view. So I think that's what is needed.
Thank you. Talking about, maybe Viraj.
Just Vikram's a good friend as well. Vikram, we miss having you here in person, man. So, just responding to something that Vikram said, what's happening in GIFT City in terms of innovation is amazing. Both Ramneesh and Ramki are here, and even the IBX is represented. I see Manoj right there. What they are doing is really the cutting edge. And I think, given that India is such a large physical consumer of silver, a lot of that trade, price influence, etc., is going to move to India if that innovation continues at the rate at which it is continuing.
Interesting. In fact, just looking at the results of the Slido survey, and please, I would encourage more people to give their inputs. The fascinating thing for me is digital silver. Right? It says 35% say digital silver is going to be a popular form. So let me ask Chirag's view on this. And what do you think? Like Vikram said, innovation is required. What do you think? From this aspect, you're a leading innovator, so give us some more insight.
So I'm just looking at the poll results. So if you see the 44% saying 30 kg ignos, but I have a very simple question to the one who has selected 30 kg ignos, rakhoge kahan pe? Right? So that's where the innovation comes in, right? So buying a 30 kg ignot, keeping it at a house, keeping it safe, it's way costly, way unsecure, right? So I think having digital silver is one of the way to go. Other than that, value added silver items, right? So antiques, artifacts, uh, is going to take a step further when we compare silver investments. And I'm sure the kind of a trend we have in Western countries where antiques is silver made, and India is very known for its silver antiques, right? If we have a couple of research team who recently came up to me and said, चिराग भाई ये 1980 का 1880 का कोई silver है अभी ये, this is like so old and it has a value of this. Maybe if I compare it to the weight of the current silver prices, it's like ceiling to the roof, right? So I think silver artifacts are the new gen which could take a further step and could take a pie of a silver investments where India are looking to keep it as an investment, keep it as a long life antiques. That's what I see.
Thank you. Maybe the next slide or question you can ask, because we'd like the audience to maybe give us insight about what they think the future for silver investment is like. I also want to ask, maybe the audience can post any questions they would have for the great panelists that we have. I have a question in terms of, I was asking about the framework, a legal or regulatory framework. Anything, Chirag or Viraj, you'd like to add in terms of where you think, what would make a difference in your segment of the market if there was any catalyst that is required?
Again, I'll compare it with the history of Indian bullion market itself. Indian bullion market runs on a trust. That is for sure, right? The OTC market, there is no regulator as such. There is an indirect regulation, but there is no direct regulator who comes and says you have to do this, you have to do this, you have to do this. It is just a law of the land that we are following, right? So I think other than that, coming on to the silver, where silver jewelry, the regulation and compulsory hallmarking, which is very much needed, because the kind of small silverware, silver artifacts, they are not as pure as they are declared to. So that is one point of a concern for our Indian market, wherein a regulator can come in and pitch in and say, this is the right thing to do, and a silver hallmarking would obviously change a transparency into the market.
Viraj, any input?
I think I partially answered it. I think some of the innovation which is happening in GIFT City through IFSCA and the IIBX is amazing. If that rate continues, I think a lot of the bullion trade from the world is going to move to India in his home city.
Can I add over here?
Go ahead.
So I think the way gold has been recognized as an asset, bona fide asset by various, institutions in the government, I think we need something like that, a silver policy also, because we talk about Indian household holding 2 trillion worth of gold. I'm sure silver will also be worth a few $100 billion. So, it's not something which can be ignored. So I think we need something on similar lines, a silver policy or something which, covers everything. Because today, it's quite funny that, an ETF cannot directly approach a bank. A bank cannot directly approach us. Similarly, we have to go to the market through various, policies and various regulations which create inefficiencies, which have no place. I mean, they were there for some reason, maybe 20, 25 years back, but I think all those needs to be, subsumed, and, a new regime, as what Chirag bhai said is right, a new regime has to come, which removes the inefficiencies and makes the Indian silver market the most efficient in the world. I mean, why not? We can always aim for that.
Interesting. Yeah, I think it's. Actually, I have a question related to what you just said, Vikram. Just your insights, because you guys are deep into these markets. How does silver investment, the behavior of silver investors, how does that differ from gold investors?
That is a great
So
question.
silver.
Go ahead, Vikram.
Sorry, is it for me? Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I think what we have realized and learned is that some of the physical investment is moving into silver ETF, because unlike gold, silver is quite bulky. So a lot of that, because when we were launching, a lot of people said that we invest in silver heavily, but we would like to keep some part of the portfolio in ETF because it's convenient for us. Secondly, there's a hunger for commodity exposure in the capital markets. So whereas gold is seen as a standalone sort of an asset, but silver is seen more as an hedge, a diversifier. It has a higher beta than gold, and it has its own life. And now that the green tech story is becoming very, very important in the world, it is also seen as a proxy for the green tech story. So there's been a lot of difference and similarities between gold. Obviously, they are both move in tandem in the longer run, but I think we have seen. There are times when we have had higher volumes in silver than our gold ETFs. Many times in the past year. So you can imagine it's a market which is standing on its own feet.
Yeah, interesting. So what you're saying is basically silver, the silver investment story is slightly different from the gold investment story. Maybe Chirag, give some insight. How? Why?
See, in 2011 when we saw all-time highs, when people were thinking in 2011 that it will go touch 100K, and people entered into that market at that prices, and unfortunately they got burnt, right? If that wouldn't have happened, today it would have been a different story. Today we would have seen a lot of more participation coming into the market, because after 2011 to 2015, 2016, until there was a liquidity price into the market, no one entered very openly into the market. That was the reason it came down till 27, 25,000, right? So after that, if you see, silver prices have been steadily growing. At the same time, if you see the gist of the silver market, now everyone wants a value addition to everything. If you compare it to the gold prices has been on the highs and have been very expensive, right? So now even the jewelers are turning towards a very small grammage of jewelries, wherein a max population of the country can afford and put it in their basket of it. At the same time, if you very bluntly compare the investment styles for the gold and silver, I think I'll just on my own experience, I would say on my platform, I've seen more than 70% of the consumers taking a physical delivery of the silver rather than taking a gold delivery. So I've seen people buying metal and taking the delivery. At the same time, there are less than 15% of the consumers who have been taking the delivery of the gold. They would rather want it to sell it and take the money back, right? So this is consistent since last 2 years, and this actually shows that as a storage, they would want silver to take the delivery and not to take the gold card delivery.
So maybe I would say silver investors are long-term investors and gold investors are short-term profit takers. Interesting. Viraj,
So I have a slightly zoom out view. Unlike gold, which is mined for gold, more than Mike is here from the Silver Institute. A lot of silver which is produced is as a byproduct. It just comes for free. As a byproduct of producing lead or zinc, byproduct of copper, gold. There's very little which is actually mined just for silver, about 30% I think. And the other thing from the demand side also, more than 50% is industrial use. That leaves 50% for investment, jewelry, silverware, all of that stuff combined. The other thing is, I travel extensively across the country. I've been to every single district of Maharashtra, many districts in Gujarat, South India. There we'll see farmers come with bags of cash, literally bags of cash. Go give it to the silver trader, gold trader, whoever, and walk away with a bag of silver. You know, it's almost like a National Geographic movie scene. Like, you have to see it to believe it. And then when I have a conversation with them, that, you know, why are you doing this? Silver is so bulky. Kahan rakhoge? Same thing. Why aren't you buying gold? And he's like, look, man, you're a young man. My father, my grandfather, my great-grandfather, and his father all converted cash to silver, and when we need to buy seeds, we give silver, take seeds. You know, first the Mughals were there, then Shivaji Maharaj was there, then the British was there, now Modi ji is there. Doesn't matter. Our system is not going to change.
I have a great story on that. Somebody told me exactly this. This goes back 30 years ago. They said they take that silver and they put it in the ground.
Yeah.
Right? They put it inside the ground and bury it there. And then, so when they have a good harvest, they get cash. They take silver, put it under the ground. If next year this harvest is not good, right, they take it out of the ground. So they said, "Zameen se aaya hai, zameen mein wapas jata hai." So it's.
You know, it took me. I studied at University of Virginia, one of the best universities. Worked for Morgan Stanley, one of the best banks. I went with arrogance to say, "I will teach you." After 3 years, I said, "You're smarter than me. I should do what you're doing."
Absolutely, absolutely. So I'm getting some really good questions from the audience, so thank you. Please let them come, keep coming. I have one which I'll start off. So it's a view of ETF versus digital silver, okay? And so they're saying, as an investor, if I'm looking at ETF and I'm looking at digital silver, how do I choose which is better? So maybe I like the two different providers of the service to duel it out here. Vikram, I'll give you the first chance to convince the person that ETFs are better than digital silver.
Sure, absolutely. So we have nothing against digital silver. I mean, the market is big enough for all the players. But I think I would say that gold and silver ETFs have been the best inventions of this century in the financial sector, because here you have products where the liquidity of the fund is far superior than the liquidity of the underlying physical market. I mean, you can buy today, silver ETFs are trading at 80-85 rupees. You can buy silver worth 80-85 rupees 1 unit. So this is the kind of liquidity with an impact cost. I mean, we are not allowed to say these numbers because of SEBI regulation, but the impact cost, which is really a very, very small number. So I think liquidity is one thing. Secondly, the safety security. Please don't forget that we have a very, very smart and very, very, I would say, a very concerned capital markets regulator, SEBI. And trust me that, you know, compliances and risk management is the biggest part of my and my colleagues' work in a day. So there's a lot of stress on safety, security. We are, mutual funds are nothing but a trust. So we have to behave like a trust, which are regulated by SEBI. Last but not the least, I think it's very important to understand that if you are an investor in the capital markets and you believe in the theory of portfolio diversification and a multi-asset, sort of strategy for because multi-asset strategy will always give you better compounding than single asset. Single asset will go up 10% 1 year and go down 20% next year. Whereas if you have a diversified portfolio, if you believe in that kind of compounding, if you believe in wealth creation through capital markets, then silver ETF is your first port of call because it's in the same ecosystem. So I think these are the reasons why we believe that our investors like these products, and obviously the safety, security, liquidity, and the ease is something which is difficult to beat.
So I'll just touch down 3 or 4 points, and that will actually make us gist of what I am trying to say. So first is compliance. So recently there was a circular, SEBI announced that if you want to invest in mutual funds, you need to ensure that your Aadhaar card and PAN card is linked to each other, and once that is done, you can stay invested in mutual funds. That is one thing. As a digital platform provider, from first day we are ensured that we need 2 KYCs, that is for very sure, which is Aadhaar and PAN, which are linked to each other, and which is done very automated. At the same time, it's going to take not more than 3 minutes for you to register on a platform. That is one thing. Second thing, about the the delivery. So a digital platform can provide a delivery of whatever grammages of silver you would want to get delivered to your house, right? So that is one advantage. Other advantage is it is a 24 hours market. As it is a global market, it is a 24 hours market. And whenever there is a drop in the prices, which usually happens, the history says, which usually happens in the New York Times, right? So it is a time when if you want to clock on a price, you can clock on that price. At the same time, fourth more precious advantage is once you are linked to the platform, you can do SIP. So that is the mantra, and which an investor doesn't want to just don't want to keep looking at the prices, right? I want investors to just do one SIP. At the end of the month, there's a silver accumulated. You have got so many options. Either you do a delivery, either you sell it, either you gift it, and maybe down the line we'll go to a wedding ceremony and you're like, boss, I'll just drop you a gift on your phone. That's the most easiest way. Why to carry a healthy bucket of anything, right? And gold and silver, most auspicious in our country. Why not to gift gold and silver digitally, which can be redeemed physically anytime? So I think digital silver is the way to go. That's what I see.
Viraj, do you want to?
I have a zoom out view of this. A few years ago, I was in Hopri, a small town which is very important for silver. And one of my favorite questions is, what's the biggest competition for silver? And the answer I got was not gold. And the answer I got was not this ETF and digital silver. The guy answered in Marathi. He said very simply, biggest competition is iPhone. iPhone. जब बच्ची की शादी होती है, वो पायल और गहना या चांदी नहीं मांगती, वो बोलती है मेरे लिए लेटेस्ट आईफोन खरीद के दे दो. And that was such a big eye opener, यार, that the competition, we are all talking about ETF में डालो ये में उसमें, but I think Rahul had also mentioned that a lot of the silver consumption is moving from plates and things like that to home decor items. But the other thing is also moving to electronics. So it's something that all of us need to be aware of and innovate as part of our businesses.
Interesting. Yes, you're right. There's a question, Vikram, maybe you can add it. Also, you guys are so experienced. In terms of your view from an investor, what percentage of his portfolio do you think should be in silver? Maybe Chirag?
Yeah.
Let Chirag go first.
I just read that question and you just popped it, the same questions. Okay, so I think investing in silver is more of a psychological and a patience game rather than what portion you should invest. Me being an investor in silver, I would rather put it at a portion wherein I don't want to use that particular liquid money for next 2 to 3 years of a horizon. For a short-term investor, I would rather not put money into silver for a short-term view, because the kind of a nature silver has in its movement, in the price movement, in a short term I might gain and I might get burnt. If I get burnt, I'm not going to come back into the silver market again. So I would rather request every investor to come on a platform, invest on a platform, but at the same time ensure that you have a long-term horizon, and as per the same factors you should get their percentage of silver to be invested.
Okay, thank you. Maybe Vikram, and then I'll come to Viraj. Go ahead, Vikram.
Sure. So I think the anecdotal evidence suggests that we have seen short-term investors chasing the momentum, and the long-term investors chasing the mean reversion, which means corrections. We have seen serious long-term money coming at corrections in ETF, and obviously there are always tactical players in everything: equity, bond, commodities. So that's what we have seen, and I think that's what perhaps has been happening in the world also.
Okay, Viraj.
So I have a nuanced answer. So for people in this room who understand silver, it can be 25-30%, because we know when to get in, when to get out, what's happening, plus we are patient. A 3-year view minimum, I agree with Chirag. If you have a view less than 3 years, don't put your money in silver. Or put structured money in silver. And then really study. But the standard answer is around 5%. When I speak to my friends or wealth managers, they say about 5 to 8% is what you should be putting. That's my personal view.
Thank you. Just before we close, there's a last question we want from the audience. Just wanted some kind of view about what they felt is going to happen to short-term silver prices by the end of May. Maybe you can put up the slide of question. And maybe I'll ask the great innovators and participants we have, what's your short-term view of gold of silver prices?
According to me, I think 78 is going to hold, and we could see prices go back to 85, and that's it. So I also think by year end we could see all new time highs coming in and coming in. This is what I say. You look at the geopolitical, look at the Fed. So these are the major concerns coming in, and silver had to follow the gold prices. So central bank buying, right? So ratios going down. So it's better that okay, silver has not moved. Okay, let's go and grab it. So it's kind of that kind of a movement, and I don't think that kind of a movement is going to fade away. And we don't see gold prices either to correct more than maybe 20 to 30 or maybe 20 to 50. Ultimately, it's going to follow the route. 26 half 27 is the current market. I don't think it's going to bottom out below 26. Look at the international price. If it crosses 30, we see 35 getting all the stop losses hit, and I think those kind of events is for this year, and we could witness that.
Vikram, do you have any comments off the record, personal
Yes,
views?
sure. See, the way I look at it is that the silver story is sustained by the industrial demand, which is coming from the green tech industry. The good thing is that the green tech industry is not very ROI and ROE conscious, which means they can absorb a lot higher prices compared to the traditional industries. So even if they can even tolerate silver at $50 also. But the other thing is that, you know, the US election will be a very big pivot for silver prices, because if Mr. Trump comes back, he's going to completely try to dismantle the green agenda, which will not only be not so good for silver, but not so good for the other metals also, like copper, nickel, etc. But I think that's going to be a short-term setback for silver or copper or whatever, you know, all the green tech metals, because the climate change is already arrived. I mean, you can see how hot it must be. It's in Mumbai. I can imagine how hot it must be. And if you see, there's one news item everybody should read about climate is the kind of melting of snow we have seen in Antarctica, and it's down by about 6-7 standard deviations. So it's just a matter of time that may not come to your doorstep or my doorstep, but climate change is going to be knocking very soon on our doorsteps. And India has, under the present government, has decided to meet the carbon targets through solar, and solar is one of the largest consumer of silver. So I think you might see some near-term volatility during end of the year, September, October, when the US election happens, but that could be a time to, you know, load in if you're a long-term investor.
Thank you. Viraj, you have the last word.
So I would, Sunilji, we have Amar Singh here. He's one of the largest movers of silver in the world. I would love to cede my time to him and hear his view.
Amar,
Amar, I'm putting you on the spot, huh?
so we have comments from Amar as he walks up.
On the silver price?
Yes.
I think silver has, as all of you said before, a long way to go. I think some of the fact which Chirag put through, it was quite enlightening to me. If you look at all the commodities, look at copper, I think close price was 10K yesterday, Friday. It was 8,400, just to give you all few months ago. Not few months, few weeks ago. Silver, if gold has made new historical high, which is, we all know 24, almost 24, 40, 50. Silver is just making move. And I think one thing I have been saying to the market, that I know it has gone through a big challenge from the demand perspective in the last decade, once the photo or all these new tech thing evolved. But the story of silver is just beginning in my view. So I would say people, means I keep saying people that if you don't believe in this story, at least don't sell. If you believe in a story, participate in the market. So just to give you a few more facts for all of you, China CFI inventory is at its lowest ever we all have seen. It used to be 6,000-7,000 tons. It's trading around, it's currently around 2,500. Silver premium in China is around, hovering around 10 to 11, 12. The moment it goes above 13, I think China will start buying, which we haven't seen. It has closest been very briefly to 13. So what I'm saying, China export only happening, which is mandatory, like some tolling business. There is in-house solid premium, no reason why other will export. India, you all are in India, you heard Chirag, the solar demand, all this demand which is coming from this renewable energy is really, really strong. So I would say, I think the story is just beginning in silver. That's how I'll stop.
Thank you. Amar, obviously the audience feedback, you can see, agrees with you. So thank you for that, and thank you for the great panelists, and appreciate the audience participation. Thank you.
Thank you, Sunil. Thank you so
Thank you very much for it. Thanks.
Sure. Please stay on the stage, gentlemen. I would now like to request Mr. Kashyap to present a memento to each of our speakers, and a big thank you to Mr. Vikram Dhawan sir online for having been a part of this very, very interesting discussion as well. We would like to start by presenting a memento to Mr. Chirag Thakkar. Ladies and gentlemen, let me hear you clap. A big thank you to Mr. Viraj Didwania also. And in order to present a memento to our chairperson, may I now invite on stage Mr. Atanu Sanyal. Mr. Atanu Sanyal, sir. Mr. Sanyal is walking towards us pretty much from the other end of the hall. Yeah, of course. So he's saying, Mr. Kashyap is saying, while he comes, we can give a virtual one to Mr. Vikram Dhawan. Mr. Vikram Dhawan, please have a look at the mementos, and I hope one is sent to you as well. Atanu sir, can we please present a memento to our chairperson? Thank you, gentlemen. Please close up for a group picture. And I absolutely love the discipline in the house. Yes, please be a part of the picture. Look at everyone seated so nicely, so diligently. I think that is because of the quality of the content that is being discussed on the stage.